Thursday afternoon in August. The thermostat says 74 degrees, the hallway says 78, and the outdoor unit has been running since lunch. You walk past the guest room, empty. The bedroom your kid moved out of, empty. Formal dining room, bonus room, basement, unused office, empty, empty, empty. But the air conditioner does not know that. It is not cooling your family. It is cooling the floor plan. So the obvious fix feels simple. Close the vents, shut the doors, stop wasting cold air. Except that move can make the system louder, leakier, and more expensive to run. The first thing most people do in that empty room is touch the register, and that is where the trap begins. Sarah Hirschberger is our guide through the math and the machinery, the room count, the duct pressure, and the bills that arrive after a hot month. This season, average household cooling electricity is projected around $792, sharply higher than 2020. At the same time, many families are already behind on utility bills. So the promise is simple: same comfort, fewer rooms. You will see the honest arithmetic of how many rooms you are paying to cool, why closing registers can backfire, 4 alternatives from cheaper to costlier, and the 2 mistakes that create moisture or system trouble. This is not about enduring heat. It is about aiming cooling where people actually live. Before touching any equipment, the first number to understand is how much house each person is now paying to cool. In 1972, the typical new American home was about 1,634 square feet. The typical household had 3.06 people. That worked out to roughly 534 square feet per person. By 2023, the typical new home had grown to about 2,614 square feet, while the household inside had shrunk to about 2.51 people. Now each person gets roughly 1,041 square feet. That is the quiet change hiding inside the thermostat. The machine is not just cooling a family, it is cooling a much larger envelope around a smaller one. More bedrooms, bonus rooms, finished basements, high ceilings, and long hallways stacked up over time. Then central air became normal. Not one window unit in one bedroom, but a whole house system, pushing cold air as if every room mattered equally. The title is not literal for everyone. Most homes do not have 8 empty rooms. But 3 to 6 rooms sitting unused most of the day is common enough to change the bill. Once you see the house as mostly empty volume, the little lever on the vent starts to look irresistible. So you slide the little metal tab shut. The room goes quiet. The vent stops blowing. It feels like you removed that room from the bill, but the blower did not get the message. Inside the air handler, the fan is still trying to move the same air through a smaller opening. Closing supply registers does not tell a normal central system to relax. It raises static pressure, like pinching a hose while the pump keeps running. Residential ductwork is not a sealed steel tunnel. It is thin metal, flex hose, tape joints, boots, elbows, and seams. Many systems already leak 20 to 30% of their airflow before you touch a register. Raise the pressure, and those weak spots matter more. Air meant for a bedroom can be forced into an attic, crawl space, or garage. That is the first cost. You may dump conditioned air into places the house was never meant to comfort. Then comes the second cost. Air conditioners and furnaces need airflow across their core parts. In summer, reduced airflow can freeze the evaporator coil. In winter, it can overheat a furnace heat exchanger. The system is not saving effort, it is straining. There is one narrow case where closing a register is not disastrous, but it is not the main lever. That narrow case is a house with tight ducts, fully inside conditioned space, and maybe 1 or 2 registers closed. Not 8, not a whole wing. Even then, the savings are usually small. But your instinct is not wrong. If you are not using the guest room, office, or nursery, drawing a boundary makes sense. Stop treating empty space like occupied space. The better lever is not the metal register in the floor. It is the door. A closed door changes the room from part of one shared air volume into a separate pressure zone. Here is the catch. In many homes, the supply vent is inside the bedroom, but the return grill is in the hallway. Cold air blows into the bedroom, the door is closed, and the air has no easy path back to the system. The room inflates, not visibly, but enough to matter. Bedrooms with closed doors can hit 20 to 28 pascals of pressure. Building standards usually want rooms within about 3 pascals. That pressure pushes air through cracks, can pull outdoor air in somewhere else, and breaks circulation. A closed door only works if the air still has a way home. The fix is not a smarter thermostat, it is a return path. If supply air goes into a closed room, the same amount of air needs a low-resistance way back out. A door undercut usually cannot do it. That thin slot looks useful, but with carpet, rugs, and normal airflow, it is often too small. So installers use 2 simple options. One is a through-wall transfer grill, basically a vent between the bedroom and hallway, often baffled so light and sound do not shoot straight through. The other is a jump duct, a short run of insulated flex duct from the bedroom ceiling to the hallway ceiling. Air leaves through the duct, not through wall cavities, outlets, attic gaps, and dirty cracks. That is why the fix is unglamorous. No app, no subscription. Just a grill, a short duct, and a path home. Materials can be cheap, sometimes around $30. The expensive part is professional labor if you need clean cutting, fire blocking avoided, and a safe installation. With the pressure problem solved, the savings plan becomes a ladder, and the first rung costs nothing. Start with a boring setting, 78 degrees when you are home, 82 when you are out or asleep, adjusted for health and safety. Try it for 1 week. That week matters because your first reaction is usually wrong. On day 1, every degree feels personal. By day 4, you may have changed the blanket, clothes, ceiling fan, or cooking time. The house did not transform. Your routine did. The math is plain. Energy guidance often uses about 1% cooling savings for each degree of setback held for 8 hours. Hold a 7 to 10 degree setback every day, and seasonal savings can land around 10%. On a $792 cooling season, 10% is about $79. No equipment, no installer, just a schedule you leave alone long enough to judge. But a thermostat number only works if the person in the room still feels comfortable, and that is where the cheapest powered tool comes in. A fan is not a tiny air conditioner. Leave it spinning in an empty bedroom, and the room is not getting colder. The motor is just adding a little heat while the blades move air nobody feels. The comfort comes from your skin. Moving air speeds evaporation and carries away the warm layer around you. That is why a 78-degree room can feel livable with a ceiling fan and sticky without one. The power difference is huge. A ceiling fan often uses tens of watts. Central air can draw thousands. So the smart trade is simple. Use the fan on people, then raise the thermostat about 4 degrees if you still feel comfortable. Bad use is running fans like room treatment. Good use is treating them like lights. On when someone is there, off when they leave. Box fans can help at night in cool, dry weather, but humid August air can drag moisture inside. Fans help you raise the whole house number, but the biggest savings come when you stop running the whole house machine overnight. Instead of cooling the whole house less, move the cold air to the room you actually use. A small window unit, or a single-room portable unit, can win because the math is lopsided. Many room air conditioners draw about 500 to 1,500 watts. A central system often pulls 3,000 to 5,000 watts once the outdoor unit and blower are running. That difference only matters if the central air is off. Picture a bedroom at night. Door mostly closed, window unit humming. The rest of the house drifts warmer because nobody is eating dinner in the hallway at 2 in the morning. An 8,000 BTU unit might use around 800 watts. Run at 8 hours a night, and depending on your electric rate, that can land near $33 a month. Bad use is 3 window units running while central air still cools the kitchen, living room, and empty guest room. That is not a strategy. It is a second air conditioning bill. The win comes from replacement, not addition. 1 occupied room, 1 smaller machine, the big system quiet. If you want that idea built permanently into the house, the next rung is real money, and it has a pressure trap of its own. The permanent version is zoning. Instead of closing metal registers by hand, a contractor installs motorized dampers inside the ducts. A thermostat calls from the bedroom. That damper opens, the guest room damper closes, and the system sends air where people are. It can be the obvious fix, Ducted zoning often runs roughly $1,700 to $6,000, depending on zones, ductwork, and controls. But here is the trap. If your air conditioner is single stage, it basically has one speed, full blast. When half the ducts close, the blower still tries to shove the same air through a smaller path. Static pressure climbs, noise rises, leaks get worse, coils can get too cold. You recreated the closed register problem with better hardware. Real zoning works best when equipment can slow down. Variable speed blower, variable capacity compressor, less demand, less air, less strain. The other permanent answer is a ductless mini split. One indoor head in the room you live in, one outdoor unit, no duct pressure fight. A single zone install often lands around $2,000 to $6,000. So ask the contractor one question: is my equipment variable speed? If not, would a mini split in the occupied room be the better buy? But even the best savings plan can turn ugly if it ignores moisture and return air. The first mistake is treating an unused room like a storage unit in July. You close the door, you shut the register, you forget it exists. For a week, maybe a month, the room drifts warmer, the air gets stale, and humidity starts looking for cold surfaces. That is where savings can turn into damage. Warm, moist air does not need a flood to cause trouble. It only needs a cool wall cavity, a shaded corner, the back of a closet, or a supply duct sweating behind drywall. Moisture lands, dust feeds it, and the first warning is often a musty smell. The safer move is boring. Open the room sometimes. Let air move through the house. Check closets, corners, window trim, and anything pushed against an outside wall. The second mistake is blocking the return. A return grill is not decoration. It is the lungs of the system. Put a sofa, rug, filter, or boxes over it, and the blower starts pulling through cracks, gaps, and dirty paths instead. Now the whole story has a villain, but it is not comfort and it is not even the air conditioner. The villain is the floor plan, not the thermostat. Not your habit of wanting a cold bedroom. The floor plan. Most houses are built as if every room matters at the same time. The nursery at noon, the guest room at midnight, the dining room you use twice a year. One central machine pushes air through one duct network because the house was designed around square footage, not presence. And the business around it reinforces that idea. Utilities sell kilowatt hours. They do not get paid when your hallway stays warm. Equipment is sized to the envelope, the walls, windows, roof, leaks, and total volume of the house. Not the couch you sit on, not the bed you sleep in. Installers are usually paid to solve the whole house with tonnage, ducts, registers, and returns. That is not a conspiracy. It is a set of incentives that rarely rewards the obvious question: which room has a person in it? So when you choke off registers, you are fighting the design with a screwdriver. The better path is setbacks, fans, and one-room overnight cooling. Combined, those can plausibly cut 25 to 40% from a cooling season. So the answer to the opening question is finally simple enough to write on a piece of paper tonight. Here is the piece of paper. Walk room by room tonight. Write every room down: bedroom, office, guest room, dining room, basement. Next to each one, write how many hours someone actually used it yesterday. Then circle every room under 2 hours. Do not make those circles your excuse to close every register. That was the trap. Closing vents can raise duct pressure, starve airflow, create leaks, and make the air conditioner fight its own lungs. The goal is pressure-safe boundaries first, then deliberate cooling. Set the thermostat schedule around when the house is truly occupied. Clear the return grill so the system can breathe. Use doors carefully, and if you cool one room overnight with a small unit or a smart zone, let the central system relax instead of pretending the whole floor is asleep with you. Then do the paper test. Close a bedroom door. Run the fan. Hold a sheet of paper at the gap under the door. If it pushes hard toward the hallway, that room is pressurized. You need more return path, not more closed vents. That is the answer. Stop paying a machine to care for empty space as if it were family. Comment with 4 things. How many rooms are in your home? How many you used yesterday? What region of the country you are in? And whether one room cooling overnight changed your bill. Thanks for watching.